What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of Habs.All.Day.Everyday. I'm your boy, Danny B, and let's get at it. Big trade to announce today between the Montreal Canadiens and the Vegas Golden Knights. Montreal traded their captain, Shea Weber, to the Vegas Golden Knights for Evgeny Dadonov. Initial reaction? Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I thought we would have to give up way more to get rid of that burden of a contract. It's not that Weber makes too much. I think he actually makes about half of his salary cap. It's the cap is 7.85 million or something like that. So we shipped him over to Vegas, and we got Evgeny Dadonov back. Um, he makes He's actually making salary wise. He's making 6.5 million this upcoming season, but the cap hit's only 5 million. So not that it really matters to Montreal. This is basically for the future. So again, this contract doesn't have to burden us. Um, that way, we can even put price on long-term injury reserve. Um, and Datanov is interesting. I mean, last year he got on a non-playoff team, Vegas. He got 20 goals and 43 points, playing kind of that middle sixth role, kind of a tweener in between the third and second line on the wing. He's had 4 20-plus goal seasons since he's been back in the NHL. Last season, before this past one, he was with Ottawa. Well, I mean, that explains itself right there. So we didn't have that good of a season. But I think this is great. I think this is great because we really have a good top six asset this year that we can trade at the deadline. What I think that we'll do is we'll play him in the top six with, I say play him riding shotgun with Suzuki and Caulfield. Maybe this guy's going to get, 55, 60 points, 25 goals by the deadline, and then we can ship him off for our first rounder. I mean, worst case scenario, we get rid of him for, a second or third round pick. I mean, we weren't getting anything for that Weber contract. The fact that we got a legit top six winger that we can flip at the deadline for an asset is absolutely great. Absolutely great by Hughes. Yeah, it was a shock. No one really talked about it. I guess it was about to happen at the deadline, but it kind of fell through. Did not expect it to happen before the draft or before free agency. So, um, I mean, Weber was a good captain. Um, he's part of that Bergevin regime, Bergevin model of, you know, grittiness and, um, you know, um, leadership um, and experience and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? He had a good run with the Habs. Made it to a cup final. We're 3 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. Um, he was a great captain. Um, I didn't like how he didn't go to the funeral recently. I was pretty disappointed about that. But again, I mean, that does not involve the trade. I think the trade's great. I think it's perfect for the future because Dadonov is only 1 year, and Weber, I think, still had another 4 years left at 7.8 mil. And this way we can put price on long-term injury reserve. Now, speaking of Shea Weber, there's a Habs prospect that we drafted 2 years ago in the first round, by the name of Kaiden Guhle. If you haven't heard of him, you're going to hear from him very soon in pro hockey. This guy just destroyed the WHL this past year. He looked like a man amongst boys. Um, the Edmonton Oil Kings traded for him this year, and I believe he ended the year with 40 points in 42 games. I think there were some injuries in that time. He was the captain of the World Juniors. I mean, although it was only a couple games, but he captained World Juniors as a 19-year-old, which is typically usually a 20-year-old or just someone before 20 is going to be the captain. But this was a second World Juniors. Picked up an assist, I believe, but this kid has number one defenseman written all over him. He can skate, he can dish the puck, he can hit, he's tough, he's big, he's strong. This kid is going to be the real deal for us. Now, of course, he's not going to be, a Cale Makar or Victor Hedman or a Carlson, someone that is going to get, 60, 70 points a year. He's going to be like Shea Weber. If I had to make a comparison for him, I think he'd be a hybrid between Weber and Petrie, if you want to stick on the Montreal kind of side and roster of things. He has the size, physicality, and shot of Shea Weber, toughness, but he also has the foot speed, the skating, the first outlet pass, the possibly quarterbacking, a second power play unit or first power play unit with a shot. This guy is the real deal. I want him obviously next year in Laval. I think that would be a perfect spot for him to play top 4 minutes. I don't want him rushed into the NHL, especially next year. There's literally no point of him being in the show next year. Absolutely no point. The Habs are going to scrape by another year with, 25 to 30 wins. Hopefully they get a top 3 pick is the goal, but maybe that top 5 pick at least. There's a lot of good players in this draft, so I just don't think there's a point for him to play, especially if you're going to be sheltered in that 6-7 spot. He should be playing every night, 18 to 20 minutes a night in the AHL. I want him in the top 4 next year. I want him to be ready for a spot in 2 years to play with, an Edmondson or a Savard or even possibly, Harris to see what development he does this year or Romanov. But yeah, I really think that he'd benefit for a full year in Laval. And then after that, play with the big boys. Play, third pair in a couple years with one of the veterans. Yeah, there's no need to rush this kid. We're going to be god awful next year. We want the best pick possible. This is the way we do it. But Guhle is a future number 1 pick, number 1 defenseman. I see him probably partnering up in the future with a guy like Harris, or my number 1 would be Logan Mailloux. Now, he didn't obviously play a lot of games this year. He was suspended for half the year, but he picked up, I think, 9 points or 8 points in 12 games, and then he got into some injury troubles. Hopefully, the Habs stick with him and they get him signed before his contract or his entry level contract expires to sign him. But yeah, I mean, the Habs on D, their future looks bright. I mean, they even got Jack Eye for Hamilton, who's looked phenomenal, big, tough, can move the puck. He won't be a top four defenseman, but I think he'll be a really good bottom pair shutdown defenseman. First PK, maybe he has a great shot, so maybe even the second power play unit for his shot. But yeah, you start talking about Guhle, Romanov, Harris, Barron, Jack Eye. We have got some good studs down the pipeline on D. Um, Actually, there's another guy. I just thought about it. He'd be Barron and Guhle would be a phenomenal top pairing someday. In maybe 2 to 3 years. They're both wonderful skaters. They can both move the puck. Barron's more of a kind of a two-way defenseman, but he's more a defensive side, where Guhle is a two-way, but more on the offensive side. So that could be a possible pairing. But yeah, again, Guhle, Barron, Harris, Romanoff, Mayu, Jack Eye. Future's looking bright for the boys on the back end. Um, but yeah, to sum it off, it's going to be another rough year for the boys, but I do like that Dadonov trade. Um, Hopefully gets that 50 to 60 point mark by the deadline, playing in the top six. Because they'll be loosey goosey this year. They won't be locked up in systems, especially with St. Louis as the coach. Will provide some more freedom. So um, I think he'll be more offensive if he played with on the top pair. I mean, sorry, on the top line. So yeah, great trade by Hughes. Um, and yeah, Kaiden Guhle looking like a future number one left-handed defenseman for the Habs. Um, that's it for me today. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Take care, guys.